Hi guys, Thogrey here with a new video, and this video will be my RBG comp maker video guide that you would like to see, and you also demanded it in live stream and also on my RBG tier list videos and also my guide videos. You always wanted a comp guide video, and I'm going to discuss those comps with you. Of course, I'm not the most experienced player in RBG. I do play a lot of RBGs these days as a warrior, as a marksmanship hunter, even as a warlock, even as a healer sometimes, and I'm really enjoying myself. You will catch me on live stream more often than not Wednesdays and Fridays doing RBG streams, and sometimes in the weekend. Of course, it is Brussels time, which is a EU time, and I'm streaming from 8 p.m. till midnight more often than not. So thank you for watching those live streams with me. So we are going to make a few comps. I think a top 5 comp that I prefer to play with. I'm making all my RBG groups because I want to play chill groups, and I also write it in the description that it is a chill group, so don't rage, just play as good as possible. We will lose and win some, but it really doesn't matter. So let's start right away, and we are needing a tank. More often than not, you want a tank, and the most versatile tank that you have in Shadowlands, unfortunately, is a Guardian Druid. We're only using Group 1 and Group 2, and then I might use Group 3, Group 4 for another comp, Group 5, Group 6 for another comp, Group 7 and Group 8 for another comp, and then I will reset probably to make my 5th comp. So, Guardian Druid, why? Because you like to have a good flag carrier. I know it's very hard because a lot of people are not playing Guardian Druids these days, but it is still biz. Whenever you are not with a Guardian Druid and they have a Guardian Druid and they are minimum, like a minimalistic good tank that actually can flag carry and has the sleeper legendary, they will probably win more often than not. A lot of maps also demands a switch from the Guardian Druid to a balanced Druid, and that's also an interesting switch because more often than not they are very strong and they can actually change the tides for your team. So now we are going to discuss about the healers, and on my first comp, I'm going also to discuss which tune I'm actually making that video, like that comp. I'm actually playing, like for example, Marksmanship Hunter here. So I'm gonna take Marksmanship Hunter. So in group 2, that's my tune. I'm actually making my group, and I would like to have more often than not one Disc Priest. I would like to have one Mistweaver, and often not, I'd like to have a Resto Druid. Those 3 are my top of the class healers in my RBGs. Like, they are very good at throughput healing. This priest is probably one of the best, if not the best healer in RBGs. You have 2 very mobile healers that can actually very much follow a Guardian Druid whenever you have the flag. You have a Restoration Druid and a Mistweaver Monk, which are very mobile but also very useful for the CC that you can provide, and also very tanky at times. Like for example, Restoration Druid, killing them is not as easy as you would think, and Mistweaver Monks, they have plentiful of stuff to actually be annoying by doing a leg sweep, paralysis, run away whenever they can, and actually give some good defenses to the Guardian Druid. In team fights, they're also not ridiculous, they are very good, and they have Revival, which is a very good spell to counter Affliction Warlocks, for example. So, now DPS wise, I'm a Marksmanship Hunter, so we already have a ranged DPS in the group, and I really like to play with melees. And those melees, my favorite melees whenever I'm Marksmanship Hunter, are Frost Decays. I like also to have a touch of Fury Warrior, for example. Those 2 are my top-notch melees, and then you can be a bit more creative. Do you want to have a second Frost Decay, or do you want to have more damage with the Retribution Paladin, or you want, for example, more casters? You have like infinite possibilities to actually make a good group. But in my opinion, I would then take a Retribution Paladin, so I have my top 3 best of the best melees playing together, with a Fury Warrior playing Necrolord, for example, boosting the damage from Frost DK and the Retribution Paladin, and more often than not, you will win team fights. The Frost DK will grip the caster. they will get obliterated by the two melees. And then of course you have me as a marksmanship hunter actually destroying the casters whenever they are on range. So I really like that comp. Now we need a subtlety rogue to actually complement with the node defending, but also retakes on the flag carrier. You are actually very strong versus guardian druids because you do a lot of damage. Of course, if they have sleeper Lego, you really are not going to kill them whenever they are actually popping um, their berserk, but that's okay, I guess. So for now, we are of course playing with a subtlety rogue. You can also play with an assassination rogue or with an outlaw rogue. And with my marksmanship hunter, I like to actually complement it with a caster. And that caster could be anything, but I really like to have an affliction warlock because it alleviates a bit the potential of getting like focused around as a marksmanship hunter. The good thing is about affliction warlocks, they are very nasty in actually dealing damage whenever they are actually focused. Good thing is I can defend affliction warlocks very well as a marksmanship hunter because I can push them around. I can trap the melee, for example. It gives you also dispel protection, so it's also very nice to have, obviously. And yeah, I really like this comp. I often than not try to build this comp. If it's not possible to get an affliction warlock, I would then replace it by an elemental shaman, for example, or I would even just go for a fourth melee. So I would then take enhancement shaman, or I would even take a demon hunter. Demon hunters are very nice as well. So my second comp that I would play if I was an affliction warlock. So if I'm an affliction warlock, I'm building a comp. Basically, I still want a guardian druid. I still want healers that are actually very capable. So I like a disc priest. And now you have the good thing to have actually a holy paladin, for example, on that comp. A holy paladin gives you also some good protection as a caster. They have great healing. They have bop, which can actually be very useful versus melees. You have crazy AoE healing, and it's also a very good class by itself in RPGs. It's a bit harder to play though, so you can notice a bit a discrepancy in power level from a holy paladin to a disc priest, for example. But you really are going to be impressed by a very good healer. Like a very good holy paladin can save you team fights. I would then pair it with a resto druid because still a resto druid is very strong because he can follow a guardian druid, and I like to have a healer dedicated to healing the tank. And then whenever you have the flag and the enemy team has a flag and you will need a retake, you want at least the holy paladin and the restoration druid with the guardian druid, and then disc priest go into the offense with the offense team. And the affliction warlock can of course defend very well, and that's also a very good thing because affliction warlocks are very good in defending flag carriers. So now I'm playing affliction warlock. I really like casting cleaves, but with a bit of melee to actually protect me. And the best thing you can do is actually play with a demon hunter. They give extra damage for magical users, which is actually insane, I must say. And often than not, I try to pair it with a Frost DK because again, it does magical damage. It has AoE. The Havoc Demon Hunter can do pretty nasty damage in AoE, but also in general, they have darkness, they have blur. They can be really a poison for the enemy team. And they can play Night Fae even with the Hunt and do crazy AoE damage, or you play Necrolord and you can have a bit more randomness, but also a bit more tankiness for the spec. And now we also need a rogue because I'm still a sucker for a rogue. And to just change a bit, you can still go for a subtlety rogue. I think subtlety rogue is just the S tier rogue spec, but you can make it work with an assassination rogue. So just play assassination rogue, for example. And whenever someone goes on a node, you can just kidney shot sepsis vendetta, for example. Sepsis is still very good in RBGs, don't get me wrong, and you can really one shot someone. I think guardian tools are a bit hard to one shot though, but you can gain enough time, I would say. If you have a choice between a subtlety rogue and an assassination rogue, I would still take subtlety, but just for the sake of change and the sake of making groups, you can take an assassination rogue with you. And now as an affliction warlock, I have multiple options. I can play with a shadow priest, so basically give me another very good utility caster with me, or I can even play a elemental shaman, and that's also a very good comp. But I'm going to say for the obvious comp that you're going, I would optimize it and get a balanced druid. Balanced druid with an affliction warlock gives you insane AoE pressure. The balanced druid can just one-shot someone, also do a lot of AoE healing. Not AoE healing, but I mean some good off healing. They also have bear form, so being annoying to kill is also a perk. And on a few maps, you have Garden Druids going for Boomy, and you have then two Boomies with an Affliction Warlock. And often than not, it is enough to finish games really quickly. For example, on the Orbs map, like Temple of Kotmugu, having double Boomy with an Affliction Warlock is pretty nasty, I may say so. Um, and now I have an option. I can go for double affliction, which is also a very good comp. Don't get me wrong, double affliction is counterable by some specs and some comps. But if you really want a safe route, you can go for a shadow priest, or you can even go for elemental shaman. Those are my picks for this comp. Of course, if I had to choose right now a comp, I would play this. So Garden Druid, Discipline Priest, Holy Paladin, Restoration Druid, with a Demon Hunter, Havoc Demon Hunter, a Frost DK, an Assassination Rogue, a Balanced Druid, Elemental Shaman, and of course the Affliction Warlock. Now for the third comp that I would like to play, if I was a Fury Warrior, for example, I have like choices. I'm going for a big melee cleave. And when I'm saying a melee cleave, I would say a melee train he's going to just ride over you. And I'm going to right away talk about the subtlety rogue. I need a subtlety rogue in this team because I really need some good node defending, because in this comp node defending is pretty much needed. It's because you're going for team fights, but you're less a mobile comp, because in caster cleaves, for example, you always play with a boomy, and a boomy is a very mobile melee. And having a boomy just gives you that notch that you can have to actually defend nodes correctly. But then with a subtlety rogue, at least you can gain time, and the melees can then move up and defend the node for you. So we need still a Garden Druid. Again, I'm going to say tank wise, I'm never opting out a Garden Druid because I don't want to play a flag map without a Garden Druid. If flag maps were an option to actually get removed, I would then maybe play with another tank. But for now, we have to play Garden Druids, and unfortunately, it will probably not change in Dragonflight. But healer wise, since I'm actually playing a melee cleave, I like to actually have a restoration shaman. I know restoration shamans are not S tier, A tier, but they are really good at healing melees because the totems are very effective. You also have wind shear because sometimes you will get like overwhelmed by casters, and having a wind shear, having a grounding totem can save your life. So we also like to have discipline priests, and I'm even going to say, oops, that's not what I wanted to do. My bad. I'm going to switch out this really quickly. I'm going to take another garden druid. I'm going to take a discipline priest. I'm even going to say I even double down on disc priest. I want double disc priest because that holy word, like that barrier that you can actually put over the melees, can really be effective because you're actually all cluttered on one target if you're like actually calling it via the add-ins, for example, focus macros. If you're going up for a caster and they are like all going for that caster is not going to move. And whenever you have a problem, they get a barrier of 50% DR, which is pretty massive, and your melees are going to appreciate that barrier even more. And now I'm going to do the melee train. I don't care about casters. I want some big damn. So pretty much I'm playing with a Fury Warrior. I'm playing with a Retribution Paladin. I'm even going to play with a Frost DK. And now we have options. And when I'm saying options, you can even go for double Fury Warrior. You can even go for Demon Hunter. You can even go for an Enhancement Shaman. And that is exactly what I want to have, an Enhancement Shaman. Trust me, Enhancement Shaman is not bad in RBGs. You play the chain harvest Lego, basically the elemental shaman Lego, where you can have chain harvest as much as possible, and you're going for team fights. Basically, having 45-second CD on chain harvest is pretty massive, and in team fights, you're going to destroy casters. You have grounding totem, you have your wind shear, you have static field totem to actually put them still in one place, and that's really a fantastic way to play. And now the good thing is having a melee cleave, you can even go for a feral druid, and that feral druid is going to be very massive on specific maps. So I'm going to take feral druids, and that feral druid is going to give you the depth on nodes map. On nodes maps, you will have two, actually three nodes that getting defended by three stealthies, and then you have like a melee train actually double deffing and trying to be mobile and help the allies to actually get nodes and stick on nodes. That is probably the best comp I would play with a feral druid. Of course, it's a bit of bias. You can still have a caster, but I like to play melee trains with my Fury Warrior. I often than not I'm not doing this because a lot of people are just not enjoying playing with dart casters. But trust me, if you want to have fun, try it one time. Play without a caster, just play full on melees, and those casters versus you are going to have a very bad time. Please be ensured that you will have to actually CC targets. You don't have a fear, you don't have a polymorph, like you don't have a hex. Actually, you have with enhancement shaman and the restoration shaman too. You will need to CC the healers, but if you want to kill a healer on a wimp, you can do that as well. You're also not very susceptible to revival, for example. You can really destroy a lot of people. You will have difficulties versus holy paladins because they have bobs, but that's how it is, to be honest. But you have enhancement shaman, restoration shaman with the double disc priest to actually dispel the targets, and I really like this comp. Just try it out and you will enjoy it. Please let me know what you think about that comp. Now let's talk about the fourth comp, and it is going to be the most meta comp of the right now. And basically, if you want a meta comp, the fourth comp is probably the most meta you can do. So you will have a guardian druid, you will of course have a disc priest, you still have a restoration druid, and often than not what they are doing with this comp with healers, they get, like, for example, a mistweaver monk. Those three together are very good. Sometimes they switch out a mistweaver to get a double a disc priest, which I understand. It really is preference because they want maybe more mobile, or they want more team fight potential with mind games, for example. And mind games, trust me, is a very good spell in RPGs. Play Venthyr and you're going to enjoy your time. Often than not, they always get at least one melee, so it's a frost DK, and sometimes they get a second melee, and the second melee would then be probably a Fury Warrior playing Spear of Bastion. So basically, you will try to regroup the targets with your Frost DK, Spear of Bastion, Chill Streak with, for example, Blinding Sleet, with the big AoE stun, and maybe the PvP talent stun from Frost DK, and you can really have a big train. I'm always going to play with a Subtlety Rogue, sorry Outlaws, but Subtlety is just that much better. And then you will play with three big casters, and those casters may be double Affliction Warlock with, of course, a Boomkin, and the Boomkin, of course, has to play really well. But if he plays really well, this is like an instant win comp. You really want to play meta, this is probably the most meta comp that you can have. The Fury Warrior and the Frost DK can do insane damage. The double Affliction Warlocks will probably top the meters, and they are very good node defenders as well because they can survive a very long time. Balance Druid itself is a very good node defender, also a very good killer, so sometimes you can just root beam a healer and then just go for a convoke, and that guy gets obliterated. So that comp is pretty much this. Now let's talk about a fifth comp, and it is going to be my little guilty pleasure comp. And you will see right away. Of course, there are 10,000 comps that you can play, but you can really make this work by just trying and make sure that you get the good maps, I would say. So I like to play with a Garden Druid. I'm going to explain. The Guardian Druids are probably the most meta tank, like I said in the beginning of the video. They're pretty mandatory, but if you want to play with something else, you do you. But I would still always play with a Guardian Druid. I then switch out the healers. I would then play with a Resto Shaman. Where is it? Resto Shaman. I get a H Priest because I want to have individual fights, and Holy Priests are not bad at individual healing. And then I get like a Disc Priest for the AoE healing. So basically, you are very good at healing in team fights. You are very good at healing in node fights, for example, with a Holy Priest, but you are a bit less good at healing the flag carriers. But good thing is, when your flag carrier is at your base and you have your holy priest as the defender, like defense healer with a restoration shaman, you can ray of hope the guardian druid, and pretty much he's not going to die because he heals himself. We have also the restoration shaman healing the tank. You have the ray of hope giving this extra healing that you will also get from different sources. So it's a very good comp to actually like take a target and make him never die. And it's a guilty pleasure comp. And when I'm saying that, I'm saying it is a 1 melee comp with a Frost Decay. Again, I think Frost Decays are the best at actually controlling the enemy team, being annoying, being a nuisance. Having AMZ is very big. And then I pretty much play a full caster cleave with, of course, a Celebrity Rogue. So we have an Affliction Warlock, I have a Shadow Priest, for example, I have a Balanced Druid, and last but not least, I play with an Elemental Shaman. And with this comp, you will enjoy your time because you have your Holy Priest actually providing instant and great healing on one target. Like, for example, if the Affliction Warlock is getting trained, Ray of Hope will save them. Restoration Shaman will give you the defense that is also needed versus melees by hexing the melees, by slowing them, by rooting them, by being obnoxious as a healer. And of course, since you have casters, and whenever you're doing a healing tide totem, they will have to move towards the healing tide totem to actually kill that totem effectively. And of course, you have Elemental Shaman also being very obnoxious versus casters because of grounding totem, wind shear, hexes, and everything you can actually do as a shaman. You have the Balanced Druid actually being super good, and the good thing is, on certain maps, you can have your Guardian Druid actually playing Feral Druids. And then as a Feral Druid, you can also double defend nodes really quickly and really efficiently. You have your Shadow Priest, again, dispel protection with a silence from the Affliction Warlock, with, of course, the knockup from the Elemental Shaman. And trust me, it is very dangerous to actually dispel targets. And that makes it actually very fun. The Shadow Priest can play Venthyr, your Holy Priest and your Discipline Priest can also play Venthyr, and you can do a triple mind games pretty much on, like, for example, 3 targets. It becomes like very hard to heal. Like, I've played one time that comp. I wish I did play more because a lot of people had to leave after that win. But if you guys want to have fun as a Shadow Priest, like for example, you're a Shadow Priest, you're making a group, make this group. Trust me, it will be very good. Sometimes versus melee cleaves, you're going to have a hard time because you only have one frontliner. But versus anything else, like your 4 casters are going to be super enjoyable to play. So those are the comps that I've discussed. You will have, of course, the timestamps below to actually re-watch the comps that I've made. Of course, there are 10,000 comps that you can actually make. You can even play comps with mages. I'm going to make a few more videos like this where I'm going to make comps for off-meta specs. But for now, I discussed the most meta specs out there. So let me know in the comment section below what you think about those comps. So be sure to subscribe to the channel if you haven't done that yet. Like the video if you liked the video. Please comment below what you think about the RBG meta and how the RBG streams are going. So I'm streaming every Wednesdays and Fridays. So let me know if you're actually watching those live streams. And again, thank you for watching this video. Thank you for the support. And thank you for everyone commenting by supporting my channel. It is really fantastic. Thank you for watching. Have a great day. And we will see each other very soon. Bye.